said you have had some of those Rippets. You've had Rippets before?
Yeah, I remember specifically the orange ones and the purple ones. And I don't know what flavor they're going to specifically associate with orange or purple. I would say orange and grape, but I'm sure they found some, third-rate fruit to associate it with, some bastardized version of mango with a tangerine or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got these at Dollar General, and I actually have all the oranges ones, but I drank them all because I completely agree. Those are my favorite ones, and I can't not drink them. But I started getting those, and I actually have this like rack carrier that holds like 6. I think
Tall
it's
boys.
for beers, or tall boys.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna take that, fill it with a bunch of Rippets, and always have it in here, like staying ice cold in the fridge. But,
I think there was a blue one too, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a blue. The blue one's right behind there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, right behind the water.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, maybe. That's why it's a sugar-free version.
Oh yeah.
For those of us watching our figure.
Yeah, it's somewhat healthier than the stuff that they gave us over there. It wasn't cooked in the hot sun.
Exactly.
Those were probably better than the water bottles cooking in the hot sun.
Yeah, maybe. At least they're protected by some kind of lined aluminum instead of just leaching plastic.
Phthalates all in your water. I totally got off topic. Who are you and what do you do and what are you going to talk to us about today?
Yeah, well, I'm really glad to be here. My name is Alex Nikiforov, and I'm the Military Auxiliary Program Coordinator with the Colorado Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Catch my breath here real quick.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
But yeah, so military auxiliary programs, I'm sure we've all seen movies where, you got the guys in college and they're doing the Army light kind of thing. So that's like Reserve Officer Training Corps. That's at the collegiate level. And then you go down one level from that in age, and that's Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, JROTC. So we've got 7 military auxiliary programs all throughout the state, 4 JROTCs, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force and Space Force. No Coast Guard because they only have 14 JROTC programs in the entire nation. In addition to the 4 JROTC programs, we've got 3 community-based adult volunteer-led programs, which are Civil Air Patrol, Young Marines, and Sea Cadets. So even though we don't have Coast Guard out here, we've still got a Sea Cadets unit that operates out of Buckley Space Force Base down in Aurora.
Do you guys have a Space Force one as well?
We have one, yeah. So that's at Falcon, down at Falcon High School. But of course, the Space Force being as new as it is, they're still effectively operating kind of as an Air Force JROTC program, and there's only one of them. But I'm sure as that branch continues to grow and develop, they're going to find ways to incorporate more of that mentality and technology and culture into their specific JROTC programs. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you? What are the age limits for all this stuff?
Yeah,
or are there age limits?
Yeah, for sure. We have to be older than 3. No. So the JROTC programs.
Carry a rifle?
The JROTC guys are high school, so that's like 9 through 12, and there's a little bit of flexibility to bump it down to grade 8 if they're like co-located with a high school that has that program. If they're taking similar classes and similar, overlap and that kind of thing. But the 3 community-based programs actually start far younger than most people think. For example, Young Marines is 8 through 18. Civil Air Patrol starts at around the same age, I think 9 or 10 or 3rd grade. And the Sea Cadets actually have 2 different kind of programs based on age groups. So there's a younger version and an older version, and they both exist down there at Buckley Space Force Base. So really, it's one of those things where you don't have to wait until you're in high school to participate in this. If you want to start doing a community-based program, even just to find out if you're interested in participating in JROTC, that's totally great. That's a great option.
Heck yeah. Is there are there different categories with the kids as far as like the age limits go? Let's say it's a younger group of kids, and you're not. Do you guys have like the 18 through 14 together with the younger kids if there are them, or is it like 16 through 18? 14 through 16.
Yeah, so in the JROTC programs, of course, they're kind of based on it's aligned with the grades that they're in to a certain extent. Although there's if you only do 1 year in your senior year, they're not going to put you with the other people who've been doing it for 3 and 4 years because
Right.
it kind of offsets itself. Of the Young Marines programs that I visited, they're all kind of working together, and then of course, as you're in the program for longer and you get a little bit older, then you start to, assume different roles and different responsibilities and rank structure and everything like that too. So
Kind of like the Boy Scouts.
yeah,
where
for
it's
sure.
Like, okay, now you're gonna lead the group.
Yeah. You start
of thing.
earning some of your little patches and things, and you get your fire starter and your camping and your fishing patch and everything like that. I mean, they don't have those kind of things.
I was gonna say that'd be cool.
Well, and that's a good point too. Is that there are so many youth-centric programs around. Like you said, Boy Scouts, all the Scouting America,
Oh yeah, now
4-H.
it's not even called Boy Scouts anymore, is it?
There
I think
still
it's
is
called
Boy
just
Scouts, but yeah, there's Scouting. So they have, and that program has far more programs than I was even aware of.
Right.
But there's so many programs. There's a thing that I just kind of stumbled upon a few weeks ago called Trail Life, and that's based in religious organizations, but it's similar in many aspects to like a Boy Scouting thing where they go out in nature and community service and community involvement and those kind of things. So trying to partner with a lot of those similar organizations with similar goals and interests and fundamental structures is great, because I think anybody who's participating as an adult in these programs doesn't, shouldn't really care if a child finds their path through Organization X or Organization Z.
Right.
It's like, I don't care if you found your meaning in Boy Scouts. Great. I don't really care if you found it in Navy JROTC. Also great.
Right.
Or badminton club or, debate class or band or whatever. It's like all of these things are options that are available in our
Whatever's
communities.
gonna help them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things too, is I continue to reflect on the benefits of these military auxiliary programs. The lessons and the fundamental capacities and skills that are learned aren't necessarily exclusive to the programs, but what it kind of does is it does kind of remove a lot of the white noise that maybe some kids aren't interested in. So for example, can you learn leadership in football? Yeah. Am I going to play football at 5'9" and 140 pounds? No. So I'm not going to have a chance necessarily to do that, right? Or maybe you're going to find wonderful teamwork and, leadership building opportunities in band. Well, if you don't want to play an instrument, you're probably not going to be in band. Right. But you can learn all those things in the military auxiliary programs, and then take those capacities and those competencies into whatever you want, whether that's industry, whether that's higher education, whether that's a job, future career, all those kind of things. So you'll see when you look at bios from like Fortune 500, C-suite members, CEO, CFO, all those kind of things, you'll see that many of them have that kind of background. Not that they're operating in the military, not that they're serving as a, captain or a lieutenant. They're a chief finance officer or a chief executive officer, but the fundamentals that they learned in these programs or in active duty military service translate into virtually any industry and arena.
Yeah. No, I mean, just being I joined at 17, so like having a fair amount of structure that young right off the bat before getting out and doing anything 100% prepared me a little bit more than I would have been prepared, like getting into a job back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like it just gives you more structure and you have a better idea of what will be asked of you.
Yeah.
So it's having something like that. And I was in the ROTC program when I was in high school as well. So that definitely gave me they had like a little boot camp thing.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something, what kind of programs do you guys have with it?
Well, so every program is going to be a little bit different, and there's going to be slight variations, and little idiosyncrasies between, this is, more geared towards the Air Force history for Air Force ROTC, or this is geared more towards the Army heritage in an Army JROTC program or something like that. But again, at this kind of level, the fundamental, curriculum and lessons being taught and learned are very similar across program to program. So you're not going to, join Navy JROTC, for example, and be like, oh, you're on a boat every day. It's like, of course you're not in a boat. One, we're in Colorado. Two, that'd be ridiculous.
They're known for their shores.
Yeah, exactly. the gorgeous beachside properties of Colorado. So every program's a little bit different based on military affiliation, but they're also a little bit different based on the school that they operate in, the district, administrative and school executive support, the instructors who are in those positions at that time, the students who are participating at that time, the parents of the students, the community itself, all those kind of things. So you might go visit, for example, Airforce JROTC Program A on Monday, and you see their school, you see their facilities, you see their program. You might go visit Airforce JROTC Program B on Wednesday, and they have a completely different scenario because of all those factors and all those elements.
Is it an act? So just so I have a little bit more context, is it a, after school thing? Is it a instead of public school thing? Like,
yeah. So the JROTC programs, the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps programs, operate in schools, and that's typically going to be most of their training and stuff is going to happen during the school year. Although, of course, there are things that happen during the summer as available and as desired by the kids. Alternate or supplemental training opportunities, competitions, those kind of things. And those generally happen, all the JROTC stuff generally happens kind of school year centric. Yeah. And then the community-based programs operate year round and everything. The thing too is that if you're doing something in school and you want to do something extracurricular like Boy Scouts, that's not uncommon whatsoever. So people are like, well, how could I do, this and that, whatever. I just heard a story of a young woman who participated in 4 separate military auxiliary programs before she ultimately got commissioned as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army. So she did, I'm going to forget which ones it was, but I know that it was like 1 Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps program, affiliated with the school, 1 community-based adult volunteer-led program, and then I think she went to like 1 or 2 other like military academies, which weren't necessarily military auxiliary programs, but it was kind of a, another stepping stone to her ultimate goal of getting into military. That being said, only a small percentage, maybe 20% of participants actually choose to go into the military after participating in these programs. So again, it's not a recruiting effort. It's not a conscription. It's not a draft. Just because you happen to do 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years in a program doesn't mean that now you're locked into a military commitment or obligation. So you
signed on the dotted line, boy.
And that's the best thing, really, is that these are the times of any developing citizen's life where they can find out: do I like soccer? Do I like band? Do I like speech class? Do I love history? Do I like military?
Do I like this kind of structure? Yeah. Or is this something I could see myself doing for like 3 or 4 years?
Yep. And it's better to find that out when you're 15 than to find out when you're 19 and you sign a contract and now you're there. And now there's not a lot of flexibility.
Yeah. You're laying in your bunk like, what did I do?
Exactly. And
no, that's a good point.
And we all know, I mean, I don't have the figures in front of me, of course, but how much it costs to just send even 1 individual through basic training, all the uniforms, all the education, all the food and lodging and medical care.
We had guys that were like, we had one guy specifically that's like, I don't want to, I want to get out. We're in basic training. We're like a couple weeks in. Yeah. He's like, I want to get out. He's like, I will cut my thumb off to get out. And he's like, but we're about to go do the drill sergeant's like, we're about to go do obstacle courses today.
That's the fun thing, yeah.
Right?
Or it can be.
I would rather cut my thumb off than go to this obstacle course.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, why did you even sign on? Like, what?
Well, and I think that's the thing is a lot of people make that decision without a complete or at least a working understanding of what they're getting into.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I saw Private Ryan or I saw Starship Troopers or whatever, and I'm gonna be in the military.
That's what
I
want.
Yeah, and you're like, well, that's a version, a Hollywood fantasized version of this thing. But if you have a little bit more of that real world understanding of the organization, the culture, the climate, now you have a more informed, base of knowledge to make that decision. It was funny because you talked about the guy that tried to get out. When I was in boot camp, we had, I think, like 82 guys in my platoon or something like that. And only 1 guy didn't graduate. And ironically, he was the prior service guy and he didn't want to stay in. And I was like, you're the only one of us that's experienced this before. Yeah. Nobody else here has done boot camp or military. You're the only one who knew exactly what you were getting into, and you're the guy that didn't graduate.
You literally asked for this?
Right.
And
again.
Then took tuituring before?
Yeah, you asked for it again. So I was very...
To talk to people that you could have said, hey, what's this going to be like?
I think he tried to jump out. I think he did jump out of a window, like a second or third floor window or something, and screwed up his leg bad enough that I think they were just like, fine, you don't have to come back.
Med board 90%.
Meanwhile, like our platoon guide, I guess our guide, I think he had a heart attack on one of the runs, and he still graduated. I don't know what his pre-existing medical condition was, because that's pretty unusual for anybody of boot camp age, at least at that time, to have a heart attack.
Was he?
Oh, he wasn't old. No, I mean, I think he was a young kid,
We had
early
an old
20s
Chinese
or whatever.
man in ours.
Oh yeah,
He was like 40 something.
yeah, because you were Army, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
I mean, he looked 40 something to me.
Well,
I
no,
was
yeah.
17.
I think the upper age cutoff for joining the Army at one point was like 42 or something.
He would do, but he used to work at a massage parlor.
Oh, I'm sure.
And would charge everybody after we did everything. He would be like, "Oh, I rub your back."
Yeah,
$50.
sure. Yeah.
And like, who else is gonna do that for you? So he just started hiking that price up. So he really had his niche. But like, I was amazed at how old some of the guys were.
I mean,
but we had the type of people like you're talking about. One guy had a thyroid issue and like lost 80 something pounds, looked like a skeleton. And we thought he was just being a little puss about everything, but no, he was like
had
dying
medical
actively.
issues. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he got better, but like,
good.
I was like, God, we just thought he sucked, man. He snitched on us about our Oreos.
Oh no.
Somebody like brought Oreos from the defect, and like he snitched on us, so like everyone was not happy with him.
Yeah,
and it was a whole thing. But I like hearing that there's programs that are actually going to give you a better idea of what you're getting yourself into before joining.
Absolutely.
Just so that way it helps weed out the people that are for sure going to hate it when they get there.
Yeah.
And know it before.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, like I say with most things in life, I'm like, I usually don't care what the answer is. I just want to know what it is. And if you can know the answer before, as early on as you can in the process, then great.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I never participated in a military auxiliary program when I was a kid, but my brother served, I guess, 9 years in Civil Air Patrol, from as early as he could join all through high school graduation. So I think he was in from third grade through high school. And he was one of those guys, we're all playing with Army men, in the sandbox, and we're like, this is fun. He's like, yeah, but this is what I'm really going to do, like for sure. So he, in his mind, had his career path set out, from single digit age, 8, 9 years old. And he did. So he did Civil Air Patrol for 9 years, loved it. That directly translated to him getting into and graduating from the Air Force Academy down in Colorado Springs. He's still in the military. I think he's in the Air Force Reserve now.
Was that 8 or 9 years before he turned 18?
Yeah.
Oh,
so that
nice.
was from third grade all the way through junior high or through high school graduation.
Did that help him with like scholarships or anything like that? Just to give you context to my question, I got a 16-year-old who just turned 16, wants to be a pilot, wants to join the Army like Dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're going to do it, don't go enlisted.
Yeah.
Go officer route. And he's all about it now. So are there any programs that would help prepare him better or give him, like a leg up when it comes to scholarships or anything like that?
I mean, any of those programs are going to give you a leg up, and there are some incentives depending on how long you participate in the military auxiliary program. You may be eligible for a little rank boost if you choose to join the military. But again, even if you do 1 or 2 years of military auxiliary program, that looks better than somebody who did 0 years.
Right.
If you're going into that kind of career field. So, for example, your son or whoever else, if they're like, yeah, I want to be a pilot, civilian or military, and you say, hey, I've also got, 2 or 3 years of a junior reserve officer training corps program. They're like, oh, that's something that not on everybody's resume. That's not on everybody's transcript. So those kind of things will certainly help you get a leg up. I don't know if it necessarily translates to, money in your pocket,
right?
But it's going to be another feather in your cap that not everyone's going to have.
Will it translate into, when you're going through OCS or whatever and like going through all those schools and stuff in the military, after basic or whatever the process is for officers? Is that something that like when they're deciding between two people, 300 PT score, 300 PT score, he's got a bachelor's, Oh,
Yeah.
he went to auxiliary programmer. Like, is that something that would be that extra little feather, you think?
It could. I mean, I certainly wouldn't
Right.
speak for, promotion systems, because those are different across every branch, and they're certainly changing all the time too. I mean, in my 23 years in the military, I saw every promotion system come and go, where it was based
Yeah.
on like,
The dumbest
arm
stuff,
wrestling
yeah.
to like, oh, you're going to, fight a lava monster, to, oh my God, you memorized 5,000 pages of, Sanskrit or something. So it really is all over the place. I wouldn't go so far as to presume that that's going to necessarily be a deciding factor in promotion, especially because it's at the high school level too. Now, certainly collegiate level ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, that's going to have a lot more weight, just because it's at a higher level, and because there is a little bit more, I guess, I don't know how you want to say it. I don't want to say credence, because it's not like one's better, but
Yeah.
clearly if you're investing your time as a 20,
That's
22,
what-
24-year-old in that program, it's a little bit different than kind of like testing the waters as a 14-year-old. So that might have a lot more weight in a weighted promotion kind of a thing.
Well, he's got to spend some of that time getting his bachelor's anyways.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
We're not sure yet if he needs a. So we're in between on what we want to do, whether or not he wants to get his bachelor's so that he can go OCS and then get into like a pilot program or
Mm-hmm.
something, or get in as like a go in training to
Yeah.
become a warrant officer,
Right.
fly Chinooks or
Yep.
black something.
Yeah.
He prefers to fly airplanes, but I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, think of how many other people are like, oh, I want to fly a jet. I want to, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's funny because my brother wanted to fly, rotary, and then they got him on fixed wing and stuff too. So whatever plans you have, it's like that old saying, everyone's got a plan until you
Yep.
get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Well, the military is going to punch you in the face at some point in some way, shape, or form. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to, get derailed on a career. You might just find yourself in a career that you never considered before,
Right.
and be like, well, this is actually better than I thought it was going to be.
No, I wanted to fly jets, and
Right.
found out doing all this is a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
knows who you're going to meet, what job you're going to get.
Well, and that's a good point too. I mean, who knows who you're going to meet and what job you're going to get? That's really the thing, is that, like we were talking about, it's like learning these fundamental skills and competencies can happen in a variety of ways, whether it's future business leaders of America, 4-H, Girl Scouts, band, choir, drama, whatever. But those things are if really too fundamentally teaching you those skill sets. Whereas like if you're in band, you're learning how to play music, which is wonderful. But when you go in through a military auxiliary program, it's teaching you fundamental competencies that when you get onto the real world, quote unquote, it doesn't really matter, because you need good leaders in agriculture. You need good, project managers in the oil industry. You need people who can lead teams in aerospace, all those different things. And the military, like you said, who knows what you're going to be doing? I think every branch has something probably close to 250 to 350 different jobs, things that we've never even considered, and things that are going away and things that are coming up as technology develops, as our real world scenarios change, all those kind of things. So I think it's, as a musician myself, I always think I'd rather learn how to learn music than learn specific pieces of music. Because if I learn a song, I can play that song, good for me. If I learn how to learn songs, now whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it.
Right.
So
And I
that's
can
kind of how,
figure it out
yeah,
kind of
that's kind of
thing.
how these programs set it up, where it's like we're teaching you resiliency, flexibility, versatility, roll with the punches, evaluate the scenario, all those kind of things. You and I are taking this for granted because we're like, yeah, of course we learned that. We learned it in the military. You can also learn it in military auxiliary programs, which will translate into whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Even the civilian life.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's-
especially the civilian life.
Are you from Colorado?
No, so I grew up in North Dakota. I grew up in North Dakota, Bismarck, North Dakota, class of 2001. And I was actually enrolled in a college for my post-senior year. I was going to go to Morehead State University in Minnesota. And I guess this is a good place to talk about my military history. Nice dovetail into my vignettes, my little personal bio. I was in band. I did band for my entire all through junior high and whatever. Both my parents were semi-professional musicians. My mom had her music education degree. They met at University of Mary in Bismarck, North Dakota. And I was going to go to Morehead State University. There was a guy that graduated from my high school about 6 years before me. I'd never met him before. He graduated before I got there, but he was in the Marine Corps band. And he came back, little did I know, on recruiting assistance. But he looked good. He was tall, looked good in his uniform, and he was a saxophone player, and he sounded good. I was like, this is wonderful. And you know, he saw that I had some, you know, appreciation of what was going on there, and he kind of started talking to me. And he's like, well, have you thought about joining the military? I was like, God, no, not at all. In no way, shape, or form have I thought about joining the military. And of course, it's North Dakota, so there's not a lot of military around there. We're really far from the ocean, no Navy, no Marine Corps, no Coast Guard, some Air Force, a little bit of Army, but mostly National Guard. So I was like, no, not at all. Well, over the course of like a week or whatever, you know, while he was on recruiting assistance, he's like, let's just go talk to the recruiter. Let's just go say hi. I'm like, I'm not talking to a recruiter, man. He's like, we're not going to fill out paperwork. We're not going to sign a contract. I just want you, just like I'm doing right now. I just want you to get more information so that you have a better,
Right.
you know, a more complete picture of how to make whatever choice is right for you. And I was like, okay, great. So we went and talked to the recruiter. And of course, sure enough, I come home and I said to my mom, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going to join the Marine Corps. And she's like, what? So that was it. I think probably like less than a month from graduation, I pivoted 180 degrees from going to college, where I already had my class schedule and everything worked out, to joining the Marine Corps. So then that was May of 2001. I went to boot camp September 17th, 2001. Did my first,
man.
I know, right? Yeah. So like that Monday or whatever
Damn
it was.
Did you already sign paperwork prior to?
Yeah. So I was delayed entry
11?
program. Yeah. And people asked me, you know, are you scared? And of course I was too naive to be scared, but I was like, well,
Get some.
in the time that we're in, I guess that might be the safest place, is being, you know, on a Marine Corps training installation. I'm like, I'm sure they're going to take care of us. They don't want us to get blown up. You know?
They want us to blow stuff up.
Yeah, they want us to. So I remember there was, you know, many service members that I've worked with that joined before I did. They said they, a lot of, you know, drill instructors or training instructors or whatever, you know, drill sergeants would play a game in boot camp where in peacetime they'd be like, oh, okay, guess what, guys? You know, country X just declared war on us, to see your reaction, you know, to see us like, well, you know, this could happen. You're enlisting in the military. You're in the fighting forces. You're in the service. And we didn't have that because it was already happening.
Did they just come in all somber like, hey, so...
So we're like, well, I guess this is happening. So I did my first 4 years in the Marine Corps. My first and only duty station after I did all my training and everything was Hawaii. So coming from, 18 years in Bismarck, North Dakota to Honolulu out in Oahu was wonderful. And that's actually why I got out. I did 4 years and I got out because everyone that I worked with, everyone that I talked to, across the board said this is the best leadership team we've ever worked with. This is the best group of non-commissioned officers we've ever had. This is the best group of troops, best musicians, low drama. We're in Hawaii. This is wonderful. And I was like, man, that's amazing. But you just told me it's all downhill from here. So I said, well, I'm going to cash in my chips because I've just laid 4 aces. I'm out. I'm going to take my chips and go home. So I did. So I took my GI Bill and I went up here to University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, which
Did you live in Hawaii for a little bit before you came back to, or?
Oh no, I couldn't afford to live in Hawaii. So I came right back to the mainland as soon as I was out. And I started going to school at University of Northern Colorado for K through 12 instrumental music education degree, fall of 2005. And so I got out of the Marine Corps in September 2005. And of course, I started missing it. So I asked all my friends, I said, well, what did you guys do? Because we all got out after 4 years for the most part. And many of us started going into Army National Guard. I said, okay, well, that's great. So I talked to an Army National Guard recruiter in Greeley. I signed up on a 6-year contract, and I only did about 2.5 years with the 101st Army National Guard Band at then Buckley Air Force Base until I graduated college. Had I not done what I did, I would have graduated college and started just teaching music somewhere in the state. But as it happened, a friend of mine from high school told me about an opening in the Air Force Band. So my final semester of college, when I was student teaching, I did an audition for the Air Force Band down at Colorado Springs at the Academy. They offered me a position. So as soon as I graduated in December 2008, I went right back to active duty in February 2009. So then I did 11 and a half years active duty Air Force Band.
Enlisted or
Oh yeah,
officer?
enlisted all the way
Gotcha.
across. Yeah, and band all the way across. I never flew jets. I never drove tanks.
Right. What MOS or job
So
did you have?
yeah, so in the Marine Corps, it was 5566 was guitar player, but then they combined all the band MOSs into 5524, which used to be the trumpet MOS, but that's the number that got all the band jobs. In the Army National Guard, it was 42 Romeo. And then I went into the Air Force, and it was 3N1 X 1N, because the N was a designator for what instrument I played, which was guitar, and the X in the middle was based on your there was another skill level indicator kind of a thing, primarily based on rank. And then I went back into the Army in 2020. So we came back from the Air Force, and I went back into active duty Army again. And then I was back to 42 Romeo, and my last duty station was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in the scenic heart of mid-Missouri. And then we retired in 2024.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So back to your question, did I grow up in Colorado? No, but my wife did, which is why we're back here. She actually grew up in Greeley, and even though I went to college at UNC, she went to college in Colorado Springs at Colorado College. How many more times can I say Colorado in one sentence? Colorado Springs, Colorado College. But her parents still live in Greeley. Her brother and sister-in-law live over in Fort Collins. And my brother and sister-in-law and their families still live down around Colorado Springs Monument area, which is where my brother's wife's family is from, because she came from an Air Force family. So anyway, we're back here in Colorado. Lots of family, lots of friends up and down the north or the Front Range, from my college, from her college, from family. So it's nice to be back. It's great. Good. Although ironically, yesterday was very humid, more humid than Missouri. But I'll take 1 or 2 humid days in Colorado for the other beautiful weather that we usually have.
Did they keep you pretty busy with whether it's the Marines, Army National Guard, Air Force, or was so? I mean, you see this with like almost every job in the military, no matter what branch. You're going to be doing your job, and then the other 60% is like mopping, sweeping, crap like that. What did they have you doing whenever you're not actually playing?
So almost every band that I'm aware of, except for some of the premier bands, most of which are located around, the DC area, Washington, DC area, they're all self-sufficient. So what I mean by self-sufficient is that if you don't see the band on a parade or at a graduation ceremony or a change of command ceremony or a building partnerships, community outreach kind of thing, at a concert or a Veterans Day thing or something like that, we're preparing for all those things. So if you're not on stage or on a parade route, you're putting together the logistics of how to do that. And that includes everything from, reserving air or ground travel to get to the place that, or lodging when you get there, coordinating meals when you get there. Every unit has a music library so that you can have music to play, obviously, right? It's like, It's a dumb thing to think about. You're like, but we need the music for this. Every unit's going to have some kind of a supply organization where it's like, well, that's where you're going to get your instruments. That's where you're going to get your expendable items, the things that break or the things that wear out. You're going to have people that are working with the admin stuff to make sure that all the, service members' records are all up to date and accurate and all those kind of things. So generally speaking, most of the time, at least in my specific experience, we were very lucky that most upper leadership outside of the band understood that reality of saying, if we want you to do your job, which is important, we need you to have the time to prepare to do your job.
Right.
And we can
make sure you're good at it.
Yeah. And like I always say, it's like, hopefully everyone agrees with this too. It's like, I'm not better than the guy that's mopping the floor. I'm not above that. I'm not above taking out the trash, vacuuming, any of that kind of stuff. But the thing is that, I can teach you. We can both vacuum the floor. We can both push a mop, but you can't play guitar probably. Right. And I can't even do the other jobs. Like I don't play saxophone. I don't play piano. I don't play trumpet. I don't play tuba. I don't play trombone. So when you have a band of maybe 50 people and you've only got 2 guys that play piano or, 5 guys that play trumpet, you can't even swap that off and say, oh, well, this is that. So they understood by and large, the unique factors of saying, well, Jimmy's the only guy that can do what Jimmy does, and Susie's the only one that can do what Susie does. So we have to let them do that because we can't really backfill that.
Yeah, like you have them doing bullshit over there, like they're gonna start slipping off. With however
Right.
good you guys are with.
Like many jobs, and I don't say this derogatorily, but many jobs can be done by lots of people. So for example, if you're in finance, you probably have a pretty good idea of how to do, financial tasks in that office. Maybe you haven't done everything, maybe you haven't done it to the extent that one of your, coworkers has, but you can follow a plan and say, okay, if column A is this, then column B is this. And again, I'm oversimplifying this not to be talking down about those jobs, but even though there's an Armed Forces School of Music, well, now there's an Army and also a Navy and Marine Corps School of Music. I would definitely say almost all musicians in the military bands have prior education that allows them to start their military job as soon as you get in, because you can't have somebody enlist and then give them 15 to 25 years of music lessons, so everyone that's in this job started in some cases as early as 5 or 10 years old, or in high school and junior high band, and then they proceed and go through college and private education and those kind of things.
Do they give you tests when you're enlisting to make sure that you can
Oh yeah, and every branch is a little bit different, so they'll have different audition processes to say, okay, you're qualified, you have the skill set that we need to do the job. And because there are so few military bands, and they've certainly been downsizing over the course of the last, quarter century, the competition is extremely high, because also civilian music jobs are going away too, and there's no civilian equivalent. Now, for example, like you said, if your son decides to fly helicopters in the Army or whatever, wonderful. There are also people who fly helicopters for a good living in the civilian sector.
Oh, yeah.
But when I get out of the military band, I can't look through the classifieds in the local newspaper and see mediocre guitar player wanted, 75 grand a year plus medical, dental, and vision. Right. That doesn't exist, So the military band.
Can you play the Army song?
Yeah.
Can you?
So yeah, sure I can. Well, good for you. So can my nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very competitive, but yeah, it was a wonderful way to serve in the military, doing something that I can do and doing something that I like to do for as long as I could. And I hope that the programs don't disappear completely, because it really is it's a high return on a very, very low investment. To have that, and I don't say this derogatorily, but a soft power where you can go into a community or you can go into a multinational environment and create a space for conversations to happen where they might not have felt comfortable enough to open those lines of communication if you didn't have that deep breath and that
bring in the band.
Yeah, it's like we're not this. It's not bombs. It's it's songs. Songs, not bombs.
Don't worry, we brought a band while we topple your government.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing too. Is a lot of times when I was stationed in Germany for 7 years, we had a chance to go to a lot of nations that were. I wouldn't say being torn between, but given a very challenging choice of which side, if they had to choose a side, are they going to choose a Western mentality, a democratic mentality, or are they going to choose another option? So we would go in and not necessarily try to message, but show them it's like, look, even though America is a military superpower and a world leader and all these things, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And in fact, it's quite good. We're trying to support, we're trying to promote democracy.
We got clean drinking water.
Right.
We got TV.
Yeah. Yeah. All those kind of things. So that was one thing, is trying to illustrate. It's like, look, if you find if country X finds themselves in a position where they are being swayed one direction or the other, right. Remember that America, even the military, isn't just bombs and bullets. It's
right.
People from all demographics, all ages, all backgrounds, all religion, all that kind of stuff.
What's the coolest event you got to do? Or situate I played for the president, or I played for Robin Williams in Iraq or something, like anything like that. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I did get to play for Barack Obama after he had left the office of the president, but he was receiving a German media award, and I forget exactly what city we were in, but got to play for him and meet him, and he was wonderful. Played for, that was really the thing, is being in those positions gave us the opportunity to play for a lot of world leaders. I bet. And it was great.
because a lot of them too are of the same mindset. They're like, we're just trying to have conversations about this kind of stuff. We're not trying to like beat people over the head with messaging and, propaganda. We're just trying to, trying to get everyone on the same page, really. I mean,
Right.
effectively. But yeah, there were, every performance that we did was unique in some aspect or another. Whether we were playing at like, a tent DFAC in the desert, or whether we were playing for literally, I think we did one gig in Kyiv, Ukraine for 100,000 people.
Oh man!
And of course, you can't see 100,000 people. It's like you look out and you see the front row of people, and then you find out the metrics after the mission.
That's crazy.
And it's like, oh, do you know how many people were there? 100,000. You're like, what? It's like, wow, great.
Man,
and
that would have been a morale boost for me.
Yeah.
Like it's crappy, it's hot, I'm sweaty, I got sand where I don't want it, like, and then I get to hear some good music while I'm out there from an actual band, not just play
Not just an MP3,
somebody hit
yeah.
play. Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely one of the highlights too. We would go to a lot of forward operating bases and austere locations, and it wasn't necessarily that they loved what we were playing or that we were like the most amazing musical thing they'd ever seen, but it was breaking up the monotony, and that's sometimes just as important as whatever. So, and one thing that I didn't try to do, but found myself in kind of a position of, just being like an emotional support person, because Jimmy and Susie have been out there, like you said, eating dirt and MREs for 18 months, and I'm going to be there for maybe 3 days at most. And I'm like, hey, I'm not saying I can fix the problems and the scenarios that you're going through, but it's like, at least you can dump on me for a couple hours and just tell me this crap, and I can absorb some of that. And then,
or they can feed off you, like, all right, tell me where you're going next.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Ooh,
live vicariously.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
Living vicariously through
Yeah. So that was one thing. I mean, and it didn't have anything to do with playing music, but it was just, being a new face and somebody that you could just hang out with for a minute and be like, hey, do you guys want to play foosball? Sure. You can beat me at foosball for a couple of days. It's a different way to, somebody different to beat for a couple of days. That's fine.
Sucks for you. Yeah. I bet you were not allowed to like complain about anything while you were out there. Like,
yeah. Well, and it gives you great perspective
to your
too.
Own people, like,
right. A lot of people, just don't have that perspective. And thankfully, even though, I mean, I deployed with the Air Force band a couple times, but their deployment rotation was on a different thing. So, it was a much shorter period of time, but we were on the road a lot. So I didn't spend 18 months at FOB X or Base Z, but I had a chance to see a lot of those places, and it gives you a good overarching, perspective of like, wow, it really is. I mean, the people that are doing the job on a daily basis for that duration of time and multiple, deployments back to back to back, sacrificing time with their families, missing all those home events. And then, the best you can do is just try to go there and like I said, give them a break from monotony and a little taste at home if you can.
Right.
And just, and
what
be,
was your
be there
go-to
as you can.
song to boost morale?
I mean, every again, you try to tailor and curate the music that you're playing for who you're going to play it for. So obviously, like if we were doing like an MWR Family Day barbecue stateside, that might be a different set of songs than you're going to go play for the special operations guys at some very austere location that they can't tell you where we are because you came in at night on a C-130 or something. It really depended. I mean, we would try to learn music that was popular at the time too, while in the moment. So, if you left your home base at, on August 1st and you got to, some FOB on September 1st, well, there's been a month of, top 40 releases and you're like, oh, Katy Perry's got a new song. Let's learn that and try to play for the guys. Or, oh, Black Eyed Peas have a new hit. Let's try to learn that. Whatever.
Team America.
Yeah. I mean, and then of course, sometimes depending on the leadership and stuff, they would, creatively, curate what you were gonna be able to play based on where you were. But yeah, I mean, it was always fun to try to play different stuff. And of course, there were some songs that would always go over pretty well. Like, you could do some AC/DC and that's going to be a pretty big hit. Or, classic country is going to be a pretty big hit because it's very accessible and it reaches a lot of demographics of our American tapestry.
I'm just thinking of the most like American music. You could like Jimi Hendrix playing. I'm drawing
Star Spangled Banner. Or,
Star Spangled Banner. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hearing that, if I'm on deployment or something, that would have been just top tier America.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That would have definitely built some morale.
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of fun to see different perspectives, and then of course stateside you've got stuff too where I mean going to play for doing a combined bands Mardi Gras parade, or going to play for Tournament of Roses, or different tattoo events where there's a lot of different military organizations all represented. That was wonderful. I've had a chance to do tattoos in Hawaii, Australia, Belgium.
When you're saying tattoos.
Yeah, so a tattoo, and we're not thinking like skin ink.
That's what I was saying.
So a tattoo is an old term. Effectively, where it came from was that the drummers would like go around to all the bars in town or whatever, and they would kind of like Pied Piper all the drunks back home. Specifically, all the drunks that were in the military. They'd be like, hey, go send out the drummer,
right? Get
them all back to base. Get them whatever.
Everyone likes a drummer, right?
Exactly, right? So you kind of get them all back. What it evolved to over the centuries was, more parade field displays of kind of like, for lack of a better comparison, like drum corps things where, you march around the field and there's some showmanship and there's some different features and things. But those are still very big in European countries and again, overseas and stuff. I mean, they're not particularly in vogue in America anymore, but a lot of the European countries still do those kind of things, especially things like Scotland and Ireland. They'll do like big bagpiping and drumming and all those kind of things. So there's always, almost every tattoo you ever go to, because I think it did originate in Scotland, has a huge representation of pipe bands, which is great. And more importantly too, it's just a wonderful opportunity to share culture and to get together with like organizations and be like, oh, there's the Canadian band. Oh, here's, the Norwegian band. Oh, those guys are great. Oh, here's the New Zealand guys. Oh, they're always so funny. Oh, here comes the, the French band. Oh, they came this year. That's wonderful.
That's cool.
So it's really a multinational thing. And I always hate, this is my just personal bugaboo, if you will. I hate the phrase, music is the universal language. Because it's not. Music means different things in different cultures, but music is universal like language in that every culture has their foods, their drinks, their religions, their history, their spoken languages, and music. So just the fact that we all have music, and that gives us a starting point then to create partnerships and collaboration, is important. And again, I don't say it in a derogatory way of like, well, music isn't universal. It is universal. It's just that like I don't know exactly what this ancient Turkish wedding dance is trying to communicate.
Right.
Just like somebody who doesn't speak English won't understand the lyrics for Freebird, or I mean, but they'll be like, "Oh, you guys have music. That's awesome. We have music too. Let me show you some of ours. Oh, can you show us some of yours?" And that was one of the things that almost inevitably happened anytime that we were working with multinational organizations, was that they would show us at least some of their musical heritage going back as far as they wanted to. And it could be a modern pop song, or it could be, the most revered song that's in their canon and their catalog. And then we would try to show them some of ours, which of course is a challenge, since America's history is so much less than everybody else's. And most of our music is a combination of other national musics anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
melting pot of music for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that, kind of goes to the fact that one of our only uniquely American exports is jazz, because it could have only come up in America by combining those cultures and those musics at that time, in that place, in that way.
Yeah. Jazz was born out of a lot of struggle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, so Marines, Army, Air Force, then back to Army.
Yep.
Out of all of those, what is your favorite?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. I mean, at the risk,
Army.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I definitely enjoyed my time in the Marine Corps a lot. And there were certainly a lot of experiences that I enjoyed in the other branches too. But, of course, coming out of high school and having that be your first experience, and again, having the very appreciated privilege of, like I said, wonderful leadership, wonderful teamwork, very low instances of what can be common drama in the military, and a wonderful duty station just made that first 4 years a real high water mark for me. And then, of course, too, I mean, I had wonderful experiences throughout the other branches too. But it's kind of like your first girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, where you're like, well,
I'll always remember the Marines.
yeah. I mean, even if it wasn't necessarily the best, you're going to look at it, retrospectively with rose-colored glasses. So there were some things I didn't like about it too. But again, even one of my Marine Corps, I had two Marine Corps officers when I was in. One of them actually moved to Australia, and I still occasionally connect with him on Facebook. One of the best uses of social media for military people, because people move all the time, and you can't keep a little black book of everyone's phone number, everyone's address when you're PCSing every 3 years.
And calling them every month, like, hey, what are you doing?
Oh, you've got a new area code, or you've got a new apartment number or whatever. But that's really the thing is, I mean, I'm still in contact with a good number of the people I served with in the Marine Corps.
Nice.
Just because we all really valued that experience at that time, and of course it's different for everybody, but
so the Army then.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. So yeah, just to
awesome,
close the door on that one.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's great, and I mean, 25 years, you said?
Yeah, so I joined in September 2001. Well, I mean, I technically joined in May of 2001, and then I went to boot camp September 2001, and I retired December of 2024 with 20 years on the books, 23 years on the calendar, because I had that National Guard service, which of course computes a little bit differently.
Yeah, like a quarter to each year.
Right, and of course, I mean, when you're only doing 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year kind of thing, it makes sense. And then I had that 1 year of you can call it a break in service, but it was technically 1 year of inactive ready reserves is what they called it.
Yep.
So I was out, but kind of on call, I guess. And that didn't count towards whatever. So yeah, 2001, 2024, 23 calendar years, 20 years on the books.
Good for you, man. Congrats. Honestly.
Thank you.
I mean that, and I hope you've gone to the VA to get rating and all that and get taken care of in that sense as far as like benefits and stuff go.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm really, really happy for you. I've got like two other buddies along with Rick that are also retired and then gotten their VA stuff taken care of after that. So like I'm always excited to meet new people getting set up.
Good.
No. And what else? It was I'm trying to think. I had something else in my head. I am drawing the biggest blank.
That's okay.
The website.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of go over the website just to kind of give people an
idea.
Quick Google search and it'll pop up at the bottom for everybody. We got it over here. What are we typing in?
Yeah, so it's real easy. It's just a 4-letter acronym, and I'll even use our phonetic alphabet here: Delta, Mike, Victor, Alpha. So DMVA, Department of Military and Veterans Affairs in Colorado. And I'm not looking at the screen that's behind me, but yep, there you go. Perfect. And then on that little blue strip that goes kind of through the middle of your screen, you see that little thing that says Services. And then you just drop down that menu and you'll see a Military Auxiliary Programs. And that gets you to our wonderful little clearinghouse page of all the information you could possibly want. And also my email in case you find a question, which I'm sure people will, but that's me. Feel free to email me anytime. There I am.
Is your email on here?
Yeah. If you just scroll up just a little bit.
Oh, scroll up.
Sorry, and then scroll down just a little bit. There I am right there. Yep, over towards that's a fast mouse.
I know, man. Perfect.
But yeah, this is great. So one of the first initiatives that we took when when my position was created was I was like, we got to get all this information in one consolidated place. So you'll see there that there's a map I built of all the military auxiliary programs throughout the state. And again, that's all 4 Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps programs and all 3 community-based adult volunteer-led programs with little icons that indicate what each one of them is. And then you'll also see direct links to each parent organization, all their homepages, all their websites. So if you say, hey, okay, I'm out in wherever you are, I want to find out more about Civil Air Patrol. Well, wonderful. Here's the Civil Air Patrol link. And you can go there and find out exactly from the horse's mouth, their policy, their guidance, their curriculum, their organizational structure, all that kind of stuff with their contact information. Again, whatever's on their website is what we've provided there for you. So that's the thing. And you can find out that stuff. Likewise, too, if you want me to get you in touch with some active instructors in these programs or student cadets in the programs, I can get you in touch with them because I have all their contact information. So let's say that you're like, yeah, my school district in town X really wants to adopt or start up an Army JROTC program. Wonderful. And they're like, hey, we want to talk to an Army JROTC instructor to find out, like, from boots on the ground, you know, how this is really going down. I can get you in touch with those guys, and they can share information from their firsthand experiential perspective instead of just trying to look at stuff on the website. And again, that'll be, you know, people who are operating these programs in our state at this time. So it's going to be as up to date, real world, real time information as they can give you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. And I love there's a little map key as well. And I'll have it pop back on. Civil Air Patrol, Army ROTC, JROTC, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Young Marines. No, that's awesome. And there's, I mean, that's definitely a lot to choose from.
And of course, you'll see on the map is that, as it probably doesn't come as any surprise, most of these programs, probably 90 or more % of them, are all up and down the Front Range, up and down I-25 corridor. As you get out into the western slope, there's a handful, maybe about 5 to 10. And as you get out toward the eastern plains, there's virtually zero. So while it's, of course, wonderful that, you know, the Denver Metro, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, Northern Colorado areas have these resources and programs available for their communities, what we're really trying to do is start up new programs in some of those areas where there's nothing, because these programs can benefit every community, every school, every district, all the kids and adults within those. And they're not necessarily as hard to start up as you might imagine. Now, of course, you know, the JROTC programs do operate through a school and a district, and there is a financial investment there, and there is an application process, and there is an approval timeline. But it is free to apply. So people are like, well, we don't have the money. It's like, well, that's fine. Apply now. And by the time it gets approved, your financial status and situation has probably changed.
How much, I don't know if you have numbers or anything like that. How much is it for some of these programs?
So effectively kind of what it is that if you start up a program, a JROTC program in a school, there's going to be 2 instructors. There's like a minimum number of students and a minimum number of instructors, and it's 2. So effectively what it is like a buy one, get one, where the school will pay for one and the service branch will pay for another one. The kind of trick about this is that the instructors are going to be prior military, not necessarily retired, but at least have to have a certain number of years with a clean service record and all those kind of things. And those instructors are paid at the rank at which they separated. Similar to like when you retired and you say, oh, you retired as an enlisted 5, an E5 in the Army. Okay, this is what we're going to give you. Oh, you retired as, you know, an O4. You're a major or something. You're going to pay you this much. So those salaries are based off of rank for the instructor. And the different ranks, of course, will have different dollar figures. So that depends on who's applying for the job, who's available for the job, those kind of things. And there are a few JROTC vacancies throughout the state right now across all the programs.
That you're looking to hire people?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that I'm going to try to be adding to the web page soon here is a list of the current vacancies. But again, that's trying to combine information from about 4 different programs to see, you know, and that may be a little bit more than we can bite off and chew to keep that up to date, because every branch is doing it differently. But again, you know, every school and every district and every program is going to be a little bit different in how they pay for it and what pot the money comes out of and how they operate with budgets and timelines and things. So again, you know, to mitigate myself saying anything inaccurate or outdated, the best source of information is going to be to go directly to the websites to find out exactly what their current policy is and how they're operating it.
So whether or not you are a student or juvenile that's wanting to go to one of these programs, or a school that's looking to put together one of these programs, to all the way to somebody that wants to volunteer or get a job helping out with one of these programs, go to that website and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. And they got your email on there, so 100% you'll be able to get them in touch with somebody that can kind of
Yeah.
tell them exactly what the next steps might be.
Yep, exactly. And that's a good point too. I mean, you brought up, if people are looking for a job with this. So the JROTC instructors are paid positions, but Civil Air Patrol, Young Marines, and Sea Cadets are all adult volunteer led. So they're led by adult volunteers, which is of course not a paid position. But a lot of people sometimes will be like, well, I didn't have any military experience. How can I be an adult volunteer? You don't have to have military experience to be an adult volunteer for Civil Air Patrol or Young Marines or Sea Cadets. So again, going back to my own personal family example, when my brother, as a third grader through a senior in high school, was participating in Civil Air Patrol, my mother, who had never served a day in her life, was like, well, I'm going to be here every Tuesday night anyway. I might as well make myself gainfully employed. So she chose to become an adult volunteer with Civil Air Patrol and worked her own way up through the rank structure and the processes and everything, and volunteered for 9 years as an instructor with Civil Air Patrol, which was kind of her way to participate in the military that she never had a chance to serve in, give back to her local community, obviously spend time with, her son, my brother. So just because you weren't in the military does not necessarily preclude or exclude you from participating in these programs. Likewise, if you were in the military and you do want to participate, even as just like a guest instructor or a guest volunteer to come and spend time with the students, it doesn't matter what you did, because anything that you did in the military is going to have value to share with the students and the cadets. So some examples might be, okay, we're getting ready to do a camping trip and you've got some retired, Army Ranger. It's like, I bet he knows something about camping. He can probably start a fire. That's going to be, that's going to be valuable. But you're like, well, I only did, administrative stuff in the Air Force. What am I going to offer these kids? It's like, well, think about who you're dealing with. You're dealing with students. Students are getting ready to do maybe college applications. Maybe you can be like, hey, I'm a good writer. I can help you write a good college application. Maybe some of these kids are getting ready to get out of high school and they say, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to start working. Oh, do you want some help writing a resume? Okay, wonderful. I can help you write that. Or study for your SATs, or any number of other things.
Apply for a scholarship.
Sure.
Like, just know how to, like, what would the next steps be? And
yeah.
Most of these people are ones that have either already done the school route,
right,
and, after or before joining, and they'll know exactly what they wish they had done or
exactly.
known prior to going through all that. So
exactly,
it's you have a litany of information that's at your fingertips.
Yeah. And I mean,
people that want to help.
To have a dedicated adult volunteer is the most important thing. And then whatever your background is just icing on the cake. So if you're a dedicated, invested adult who wants to volunteer with these programs, that's going to be the greatest value, regardless of whatever your MOS or AFSC was in the military. It doesn't matter, because you're going to have background and education and experience and expertise that's going to be of value to the kids in the program. Again, whether that's Civil Air Patrol or Sea Cadets, Army JROTC, Space Force, it doesn't matter. Because
what kind of time are they going to be dedicating to something like this, whether it's volunteer or the paid?
So the paid positions, of course, would be, just like a regular teacher at a school, so you're working regular school hours. You're going to have various classes and various, student things and all those kind of things that,
right,
associate with that. Adult volunteers, I would, again, every program is going to be a little bit different, but it would be probably safe to say, an estimate would be like, you're going to probably be meeting about once a week, or more if there's going to be like a specific training exercise or an educational opportunity, with all the cadets and mass. And then of course, whatever, individual preparation you might have to do on the outside, whether that's studying for your own promotion as an adult volunteer or learning how to teach the curriculum, or,
is it a specific curriculum that they go by, or is it something that the instructors kind of are able to throw their 2 cents into?
Yeah, definitely both. Yeah. So there's core curriculum for all the programs that will be laid out on the website and all those resources. But then again, every program is different too. So for example, you might go to one Air Force JROTC program and they're really, really big into drones. They're flying drones. Kids are loving drones. It's drone all the time. They love it. You might go to the next program and they're like, yeah, we had drones for a year or two. We dumped them. We sold them all. We threw them away. Nobody wanted to play with drones. Now we're into,
CQB.
Whatever, now, and that's the thing is, because every program has a different set of students, a different set of instructors, different school, different socioeconomic realities, all those kind of different things. So
right,
it's going to look different from program to program. For I think that is for the better too, because it gives you a chance to be like, oh, this was my military auxiliary program experience, and it's going to be different than somebody else's, and then you combine those and you make something better, instead of being like, oh yeah, I took that class too, oh, it was all lame. Again, there is a lot of fundamental stuff that's going to be universal across it, but most of that curriculum is going to be based off of just citizenship lessons, community engagement, and volunteerism. There is a lot of things about like flag and drill, physical fitness, personal well-being, all those kind of things. Sure, like there could be land nav. Yeah, absolutely. And of course that might depend on location. So if you've got a unit that's out in the mountains, they might be messing around with land nav all the time. If you got a unit that's downtown Metro Denver, it's maybe a little bit less accessible, or they have to make a little bit bigger effort to make it a part of their program. There's a program called the Raider team. So that's like kind of, one of their more physical based electives, if you will. Some programs have very, very robust Raider teams. Some programs are like, yeah, we used to do that, we don't do it anymore. Or one of these instructors came and left, and then they revamped the program to a way that they thought was going to best meet the needs of the students and the school and the community.
Do any of these ROTC programs have they used to have it in my high school where they do shooting competitions.
Yeah,
stuff
absolutely.
Like that. They still have that?
Yep. Yeah, some have marksmanship programs. Some have archery programs. And again, it depends on which one you get involved with. But if you're starting your own, then you can make it whatever you want. So there's the plug to go ahead and start your own. And if your community is looking for marksmanship opportunities, here's a great place to create that opportunity. And of course, with every one of those internal electives, you have to have certain things. So marksmanship requires having air rifles. Marksmanship requires having a range, which means you have to have a room long enough to accommodate, the distance and those kind of things.
Yeah. A lot of stuff goes into play with stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, I mean, there are requirements and regulations for every one of these programs, but they're all going to be a little bit different. So yeah.
Nice. Perfect. So if you are, as far as the kids side of it goes, or anybody that's wanting to go and join the ROTC program, that's all free. They just need to contact you guys. But if it's as far as setting up one with like a school or something like that, that's when you're really gonna need to have an understanding of what's going to be needed, who you're going to have to speak with, whether it's a school and also the Colorado DMVA.
Yeah, sure.
As far as getting money together with that.
Yep. So, and just going back to the thing. So, as with virtually every elective, there is going to be, I guess, for lack of a better term, like a tuition for students.
Okay.
I mean, they have to pay for some of the resources and the supplies and the benefits that they're getting from the program, and that varies again from district to district and school to school, program to program.
That's what I wanted to make sure of. That's what I'm like, just so that as far as the message goes moving forward.
Just like if your kid's going to join, soccer or football, and here's our season fees for this. Gotcha. There's fees for these things too.
Is there a set one of those for each different district?
I mean, there's I think there's 70 programs throughout the state, so everyone's going to be a little bit different based on how they're getting funding and how they're doing fundraising and the service branch, contributions and those kind of things. So it is going to vary from program to program. And then again, just for clarification, the DMVA doesn't actually run any of these programs. They're all run by the service organizations or the parent organizations. So we're not actually responsible for starting any of these programs or sustaining them.
Gotcha.
This position and this initiative was just to try to work with those programs to sustain them, and then also to grow them with the ultimate goal of creating better equipped citizens going into higher education or the workforce, and keeping some of that quality citizenship and competency in the state of Colorado for our own benefit, of course. It
looks like it's working out pretty well. You guys got a lot of stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, 100%. Knock on wood. I really love what you guys are doing, and I will do everything I can to kind of shout it from the rooftops. And also, you've been to a lot of our Northern Colorado Veteran Network events.
Absolutely.
We have one coming up here in August as well.
In
and
Longmont, I think, right?
I'll add,
In Longmont, I think.
Yes. Yeah,
left
bring a
hand.
lawn chair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know, right?
I'll add that at the end of the video,
Yeah.
the flyer. So anybody that's interested in going to that, 99% of the time I've seen you at like the last how many that we've had.
Well, we did the last one was in Greeley, which is easy for me because I live in Greeley. The one before that was in Loveland, I think, and I think the one before that was also in Loveland.
So Longmont, Loveland, Greeley,
okay.
and it just bounced to those.
I think I missed the Longmont one, yeah. So
yeah.
I think I did two Loveland back to back because I missed one in the middle. But yeah, that's a wonderful opportunity to get everyone together and talk about resources and opportunities that are available for veterans, of course, and veterans of all ages. Everyone.
That's why we like having you there, man, just so that you can. I mean, and anybody that's wanting to go as well.
Yeah.
That'll be a chance to talk to you specifically about this.
Oh yeah.
Also,
yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm probably going to be hitting you up in regards to my oldest because he's all about it right now. So
that's
like
great.
I'm just trying to rein him in just a little bit because like he's like I could join at 17 like. If you signed power of attorney. I'm like, right. No, dude, none of that's happening.
Just wait one more year. You're fine.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah. He probably would. If there was a button there, he'd probably press it the second he turns 18. So I'm trying to I would love to find something like this where it's going to give him that taste of what it is.
Exactly.
Do you guys have any boot camp kind of, when I was going through ROTC, they had something like that where they were partnered with a program that does a little boot camp for some of the people in ROTC, and they would kind of send them there, and it's like a week-long kind of thing, but you get to be around veterans and people that have served their country and got that chance to get a taste of what they might be getting into.
Yeah, I mean, so every one of these programs is going to have a little bit different physical fitness component, and whether that means doing a little mini boot camp thing before you start, or every a couple months, or however it works, it's going to be a little bit different. But one thing that I am trying to work on a little bit too is a more close partnership between either active duty or National Guard units throughout the state and the military auxiliary programs. The challenge with that, of course, is that as we know in the military, there are real world scenarios that you have to prioritize over everything else, of course. So it's kind of better to have loved and lost and never loved before, or whatever it is. In some ways, it's almost more beneficial to minimize that relationship to also mitigate heartbreak, that love lost,
get our hopes up, kind of thing.
Right? Because it's a big hit, to tell an entire military auxiliary unit of 75 or 100 kids or something, hey, we're all going to go fly in a Chinook, or we're all going to ride in a tank. And they're like, oh my God, we've been looking forward to this for 5 months. And then that unit gets called up to do a thing. And they're like, oh God, now we don't get to ride in the tank. It's like, yeah, you're right.
I could see that being a heartbreak.
And it's one of those things too, where, I mean, it is a challenge to coordinate all those calendars and all those schedules, with active duty and National Guard military units, because they have missions, they have real missions, and schools have testing cycles and holiday breaks and all that kind of stuff, and summer break. And so
I'll be picking your brain, because I definitely have a couple people I could get you in touch with that might make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, you guys really have something nice set up, and I look forward to
well, thanks, man.
Throwing it out there as much as I can. So, are there any other shout outs or anything like that you'd like to give before we call it?
I mean, I can't really think of any. That's pretty much the whole thing. We're just kind of the collection spot for people to find more information on whatever they think is best going to benefit their school and community and kids and adults.
Perfect, man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out here. It means a lot. And
yeah.
I look forward to seeing you at our next event, or whatever.
I hope to make it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Man. Thank you so much for letting me be here today.
Thank you.
Under the microphone.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Joe. Yeah, you too, man.